Hello, I'm Ray.
And I'm Jenny.
And we switched sides this time.
We switched sides last time.
We switch sides every time.
Yeah, well, anyways, this is our 90 to 81 of our top 100 for February of 2021.
Woo!
I know, fancy.
It's not 2020 anymore.
No, it's not. It's going to be better.
You've watched a whole new niche. Why don't you start though this time?
Okay, so my 90 is a game that is not on Ray's, and that is Catan dice. I like Catan in general. I like their little roll and write. I like that it's really easy to take places and go. I think the dice are good quality. I like the little maps. Our kids like it. We actually own 2 copies. We own one here and we own one at the cabin. So, you know,
Yep.
It's definitely a game I like and we get a lot of play out
of. I don't mind it. As a roll and write, it's okay. I think there are better roll and writes, but I don't mind it. So I won't make fun of you too much. We'll wait for the actual ones. Because everybody on the planet loves it. I like Azul. Now, to be honest, I actually like the third one the best, but we just kept it as one group. Azul is a simple block placing game. It looks pretty. You're putting tiles out, trying to get a set of them so that you can move them into a permanent mosaic. And what ends up happening is you score based on when you fill rows, when you put down a tile. At the end of the game, you know, a lot of end game scoring. But it's really beautiful. It's a simple, I'm going to take these tiles, the rest go in the middle, and then you're just taking those color tiles. It's actually a very simple mechanic, but it's really fun. I like Azul.
Yeah, and so we considered all of them as part of it. And neither of us really like 2, but we both really like 3 a lot.
Yep.
So you'll probably see it again later from me. My 89 fell off Ray's list, and that is Memoir 44. I'm not much of a war gamer, but this one hits kind of my sweet spot in that it's real easy, it's very historically accurate, and so I really enjoy that. So I like that, you know, you can play all the different battles. So if I'm going to play a war type game, this is the one I'm going to be out. The reason it doesn't hit the table as much is because it does take a long time to set up. And for us, most nights, that's not a setup we're willing to do. But I do really enjoy it. I'm looking forward to when the boys are old enough and they're studying World War II, we're going to be doing some battles.
And honestly, the reason it's off my list is probably because I don't get to play it that much. And I like the Fog of War of battle lore a bit better. But the historical aspect of that one's really nice. All right, so my number 89. Ticket to Ride, in this case Europe, but we lumped them all together because we have all but one. We don't have Germany because...
We don't have Poland.
Poland doesn't count.
I want Poland.
Poland
no, we don't have
count.
Germany because we have Markland, and I decided that I would not be a complete completionist, and I could forego getting Germany since we found Markland. We got really lucky in finding Markland at the Soldatman game store.
So, Ticket to Ride, pretty straightforward. You either collect cards, get 2 cards, or 1 if you're picking up a wild, or play to get a route, complete a route, complete certain routes to get tickets to get extra points, play till out of trains. I know it's not truly out of trains, but close enough. So, love it. Foundational, people call them gateway games. I think it's a foundational game. I really enjoy Ticket to Ride. So.
We play a ton of, I play a ton of Ticket to Ride in the app too, so. Now my number 88 is, we don't have many pick up and deliver games. Turns out I don't really like pick up and deliver all that much. But this is Spike, and this is also like rail building, and in a way similar to Ticket to Ride in that you're building your different lines out, but then you're trying to get cargo from one city to another, and you have gold cards, and there's different prices, there's a market that changes. So there's a lot of, if you really enjoy Ticket to Ride, this could be definitely the next step up for you. It's a little fiddly in that as you lay out the routes, they're little cardboard chits and they go on the board. It's really easy. If a cat jumped in the middle of it, it would go everywhere instantaneously. So it definitely has that fiddle factor. But for a pick up and deliver game, it's one I enjoy. I like doing that. I like how the market works. So.
Oh yeah. For my number 88, I've got San Juan. So one of the mechanisms I found I really enjoy is I like when cards are used for more than one thing. In this game, they are the things you put on the table. So they're your tableau. They're the goods that go on items or on good producers. In this case, various indigo and silver mining, so things on there. Because this is the card game version of Puerto Rico. You still select a roll, and then everybody else gets to do that roll. You do it better. And you're using cards in your hand as currency and as your tableau, and you're pulling cards for goods and other scoring. I like it. It works really well. San Juan.
And what's nice is it's got a really good 2-player mechanism. So.
Yes.
Now my 87 is 5 Tribes, and this is a game we got in clearance at Barnes & Noble in Anchorage.
Yeah.
And we both finally, well, we got to get it played. We're probably not going to like it. We're not going to keep it. We're both like, oh my God, we really like this. So this was really this was a big surprise for us because both of us had seen a lot of it. We only really bought it because it was on sale. And then we didn't really expect to like it, and we ended up really liking it. I think it's a game that's better with more players, but it works pretty well 2 players. And
and it was $7.
Yeah, something. It was ridiculously cheap.
All right, so my number 87
was my 92.
Star Realms. Now, this is the universal storage box, but honestly, this can be in a deck of cards, and I'm probably going to break up some of them. I've been sleeving them slowly. It is a deck builder for 2-player that you can actually attack people. You've got health. Like Jen said last time, the cards that they set up so that you would use them for health are horrible. Horrible. Get a life counter. Other than that, great game, easy to play. But you can get some combos and you get things going, and especially with the new starter decks that you start with instead of the other ones makes it all unique, which I really like asymmetrical starts. So
yeah. Now my 86 is Puerto Rico, so this is the board game version of San Juan. And I in general like anything that does this. I like that it's kind of the more grandiose version of it. Does the various things. So this is probably one of what call it almost a classic of the thing. So kind of it's a good game, and the real grand games are all.
Biggest problem is we don't get that to the table because it's a 3-player game. Often.
and well, especially 2020, but in general we have trouble with anything that can't be played 2-player.
All right, my number 86 is another roll and write here, and I didn't get a lot, but this one I've got a couple. And it's floor plan. This is a new roll and write. But one of the things that I always liked doing was creating maps and floor plans for the house when I was a kid, probably around Adam's age, so 10, 12, and I just wanted to do it. This is a game around that. You're going to roll, you're going to design a feature, and you're going to try and meet the requirements of certain, basically, clients. And that's what you do. At the end, whoever did the best at designing stuff that people wanted gets the most points wins. Really fun, pretty short.
And it doesn't require any artistic skills, of which we have none. So that's good. My 85 is Snowtails. He likes race games a lot more than I do, but this is definitely one of my favorites in that the theme really. See, we play this every March when they did Red Runs.
Yep.
And I really like how with the break cards is how you turn, and you really feel like you have a lot more control than you do in some race games. And you're supposed to slow down for certain things. And you can turn your sled to rubble and be out. So I feel like the theme comes through really well. I think the mechanisms work really well, and there's some really neat different maps that you can build it out.
Yeah.
Obviously could always be more maps for something, but for what we play, I don't think we need any more maps.
And that's got a lot of tiles that you can do stuff with. I like that mechanism though. You've got a brake that slows you down, and then you've got your 2 sled dogs. If one's going faster than the other, it'll turn you towards the slow one. It works out really good.
Yeah.
My number 85, and what I'm noticing is this seems to be more of the classic intro style games, but Star Wars Risk. And I just actually felt people turning off the video now. Just reached over, clicked. This isn't Risk. The mechanism of rolling dice based on the number of units you have, that's Risk. Everything else is Return of the Jedi, the Battle for Endor. You have an aspect where you're trying to shut down the shield generator if you're the Rebels, and if you're the Imperials, you're just trying to slow them down there. You've got the fight between Luke and Vader, and you've got the space battle. And what happens is you're actually using action cards. You pick 3, put them in order, pick 3 of 6, put them in order you want them to activate, and then you flip them over and you do what's on that card. There's a lot more options and choices. It plays out really well. My son loves it. That might be it. But I really think this is a really good game, underrated, and not that expensive. Star Wars Risk.
We've certainly seen a ton of play of that because our son likes it so much, and he's bound and determined that he's going to win as the Empire, and he has once.
Yeah, he did.
So it's really hard. That definitely is. It is easier to win as the Rebels.
Yep.
So. Now my 84 here is Reef, and this is a really simple game. You're just grabbing. You've got cards. You grab different pieces of the reef, and you're building up. And it's top down. You score based on what is on your top level as you're looking down at this reef. It really is pretty on the board, on the table, and the pieces are really nice and chunky, and just it's a lot of fun. It's an easy, relaxing game. When you're done, you feel like you built something really nice.
Yep. I like that one. All right. Another classic, simple game. I've got the cover on upside down. For Sale. For Sale is a bidding auction game followed by what amounts to a trick taking with no trump. Whoever's got the highest card wins, but you've got your hand of all the cards that you bid for in the first part of the game. Person with the most money at the end wins. Second half, basically you've got however many people there's checks, basically cards with values on it. You're going for the highest one. But that can lead to some interesting strategic play. If you've got every single one's 14, you're going to drop your lowest card to get it out of there. So For Sale works. Best part about it, this is one of the best 6-player games out there. Period. Bar none. 3 to 6, 6 works really well.
And it's a great filler game. A lot of times at game nights, and we're all gonna have game nights again, you're looking for that game where you've got that 5 people there, and you're gonna eventually get a couple more people and you're gonna break up into 2 games. But you don't want to start one because more people are coming. It's a good, quick little game to do that, and you can play with that 5-6 as you're not ready to break up into 2, but you can't really start a big one game without leaving people out. So it works really good for that. Now my 83 was actually earlier on his list.
92.
And that is Evolution. And this is a game we've played a lot with our 10-year-old.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the reason for both of us it was high. Is it a game we're going to pick to play? No, but at the same time, we both really enjoy it, and we really enjoy the experience with the 10-year-old. And this is one of those games I wouldn't mind. There's some really interesting looking standalone expansions, upgrades for climate and those things.
Climate and flight.
That I wouldn't mind trying out now that, as the 10-year-old's getting good at this, and this really fits his bill. So.
Yep. My number 83 is a new one by Ryan Lockhart and Red Raven Games, Deep Vents. This wasn't kickstarted, and you'll see as I go, I really like his smaller box games. And what you're doing is you're playing tiles that are essentially sea creatures or features. And they give you the ability to grow essentially food. At the end of the game, the food that you've taken off or have off to the side, that's your points. So you want to grow that, but you also have predators that can attack and remove stuff, and you have shells that protect you, and you actually build a tableau of tiles, but you've got a lot of options, and it is an engine builder as well, where you're trying to get those tiles next to things that help them activate and make more.
The nice thing is you get to activate every tile every turn.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. It's really fulfilling because it's only like 8 turns, but you get to do them all every turn. So that's really awesome. My 82 is a little game, Fleet Wharfside, and I enjoyed, we talked about Fleet, the dice game last time. And this is a really great 2-player quick one. This is one that I think Ray even likes more than I do. And that,
I like it a lot.
Yeah, and that I gravitate towards all the different ones, but this one's really good, and it works really well 2-player.
Yeah.
Better more so than probably the regular Fleet. So
yeah,
it's one of the reasons. And you can see we've got just in this little tiny box because it's easy to travel with.
Travel's really good. Okay, time for me to pick one that's not on her list. The Godfather, Corleone's Empire. This is an Eric Lang game that is worker placement E, action selection, with some bidding, a little bit of everything, and you can take your opponents and you can have them sleep with the fishes. And you leave them in the actual river until the next turn where they hire new people. So that's really cool. It's fun. I like it. Thematic, pretty much, yeah. I will say, Jen's not as impressed.
He says some of the reasons I've never played anything but 2-player, and
Yeah.
it's I think a game that's meant to be played with a higher player count. But that is probably one of our best thrift finds. It's $3.
Yes, unpunched $3.
Yes,
So.
this is my 81, and this was a thrift find. This was $4.99. This is Zooloretto. It's missing 1 tile, but I can live with that. We made a little chip to replace it. I like building a little zoo. I like all the little different things. But this is one that I'd like to get to the table more often. I think sometimes it gets kind of forgotten by some other stuff. But I really enjoy, I enjoy anything that, you do that tableau, you're creating your little zoo. That's something that really fills a niche in what I like to do. So I really enjoy this one. And I have a lot of fun. And it's just pretty on the table. So
It is. Speaking of race games, let's do a roll and write race game. Now, this doesn't, I wouldn't say this feels like a normal roll and write, though. You're actually trying to race. So you're taking movements and you're going along. Woo.
But now you're making me on too.
Yep, that ought to be good. I'm leaving that in. You're actually racing up a track towards a planet. You're starting at the bottom and going up. And your dice, you roll a lot. I want to say there's probably 8 or 9 dice that apply to you. And then there's the mines. They start putting out mines you have to go around. And that's interesting. So what ends up happening is you're getting these mines put out, and then everybody drafts dice and does stuff with those dice. You can get special powers, and the game's over and the person wins if they get their ship to all 3 ships to the planets. If not, it's a point based. So, like it.
It's one of the few roll and writes that he likes more than I do.
Yep.
Because in general, I tend to be the one who likes the roll and writes. But that's one I don't dislike. It probably was in my top 150 rather than my 100. So.
Yeah, cool. All right, so we still haven't got to the mocking much.
Well, we're waiting for those 60-point differences between. I can't believe you ranked that so low. I'm looking at some of them to come because I see some of these games you talked about that are in my 30s. Or
you're wrong.
No, you're wrong.
All right. Thanks a lot, and we'll move on. Next set will be 80 to 71.